If you look on there, it says my name on your screen on the microphone.
Okay.
It lets everybody know who's the one talking.
City Council will be looking at a development called Earl Trucking Company right at Westport and east of Harmon Road. And it's a 23-acre tract, and that'll be coming to them real soon. And having said that, that's all I need to say.
Any other questions? Item number 6, 6.1, Keller Haslet Road construction status.
Yeah, if you go out there at intermodal, for the Keller Haslet Road, there's going to be if you looked earlier on the agenda on May 2nd, there's going to be a ribbon cutting, and that's really approaching completion of that. Also, I don't know if you've been down Westport Parkway, there's a display board that mentions Main Street staying open for a while, and that is until the TxDOT can decide what they're going to do as far as a light out there at Keller Haslet and 156. And that should take about 2 weeks. And then they can finish up the road out there and cut off the access for people wanting to drive down Main Street. But we're just waiting on the signal study by TxDOT on that.
I can do that one. So that item is just, we have a project for several drainage improvements inside the park. So that trail system that goes through there, there's a failure of the creek crossing in the back. There's also the standing water underneath the bridge at 156. And about midway of the trail on the west side, there's areas that water runs across it, keeping it slick and algae growth. So there's a project that's going to address all those. It's going to be a bridge that looks very similar to what's on the east crossing, and then a drain collector that's going to route the water away from underneath the bridge. And then in addition to that, there's an additional pavilion and 2 covered park benches that'll be added near the fenced in kids playground area. So that's all part of that project, and that project's already gone out for bid. We've already received the bids, and engineering is just vetting references and experience, and we anticipate award that at the next council meeting.
Okay. So the city doing that, or is Type B doing that?
It's a city project.
City project. Okay. So there's going to be a complete bridge that goes over the back part where the creek drain comes from the railroad.
And they wouldn't really call it a bridge necessarily. It will have water go over it in heavy rain, the same way as the current one does. Sure. But it'll mirror the way the one in the current park on the east side looks. So it'll have large box culverts. The intention is for it to be passable pretty much all the time, with the exception of those heavy rain events. In order to do an actual bridge, you would have to be at the same height as what a FM 156 bridge would be in order for it to never, have water over it. But it's a much needed improvement, and we're happy to see that moving forward. And Morris, did you mention is it this board or the other board with the bench for the tennis court?
It's the other board.
Okay.
It's the B board, but there will be a new bench that's added at the tennis courts. No, I didn't. We sort of jumped over that one, but I can tell you about that. There's a station out there which is just east of the Legacy School, and they're going to be opening up after several months of cleanup and grading the Haslet Parkway all the way from where it stops now at Intermodal to just east of the Legacy School. So the concrete's already been poured, and they're just doing cleanup work now to open that all up. It doesn't quite make it
To the school?
No, it doesn't open it to the school. It just opens it just east of the school property. and then it doesn't go to 156 or Schoolhouse Road yet, but it just stops short of that.
It's roughly right here. There's a section.
Yeah, so who's doing that?
That's,
Zachary?
That's still Zachary. Basically, they agreed to end this project at this point. So Zachary has remobilized. They're on site. They're doing all the cleanup, the medians, anything that was left out up to this station, which is station 69 on the plans. And then the intention is they'll barricade the end of it off as the end of a road, and it'll allow access to sweetgrass to access out of the neighborhood onto this road. But it will end that project basically where it's pictured here, short of the school.
So who's gonna, like, complete
TxDOT is, the intention is within
the,
the,
that sweetgrass?
who's gonna,
Who's going to provide access to the northern? end of
That's-
Sweetgrass?
that Zachary is gonna be finishing out this part of the
They're gonna do that?
contract. The other section of intermodal is being done with the warehouse. There's
Are
another,
they gonna extend it, or are they
Yes.
gonna make that connection?
I believe that's part of that project. That's separate from this one though.
No, I understand that, I remember seeing that, so, so you think they'll tie intermodal to the north end,
Yes.
intermodal into Park, into Haslet Parkway?
that's correct.
So so they'll have intermodal all the way
From Blue Mound
from
to,
Nevada
to, through, all the way through 156 on the other side.
And then Sweetgrass will have their, I guess I should.
Yes, and then the next couple of years, TxDOT is gonna be proposing another plan to finish this out, however that ends. To
Because
where
wasn't that supposed to go to Schoolhouse, empty out in Schoolhouse at one time?
Oh, no, it was gonna go over to Schoolhouse. I mean, it was gonna pass through Schoolhouse all the way on Haslet, all the way
At
to
one time,
Avenel
it was coming
Haslet.
down-
Clear to the end of Laterra,
But at one time.
but that project's been, yeah.
Yes, at one time, it was gonna finish out all the way through the city limits on Avondale Road. And, for
Okay.
various reasons, that's been called to end here, and then a new project will finish that out.
So TxDOT's buying Zachary out and terminating the contract.
Yeah, they terminated that contract.
Well, they'll have to buy them,
and-
yeah.
and
They'll have
ended
to,
it.
whatever they gotta do, and they'll terminate that. They'll complete it just to the east boundary of the school.
That
Well, roughly.
project, we'll have to see what the constraints of that project is.
Wouldn't seem to me that it'd be any, I mean, I don't know, it'd make any sense to go further west if they go further west to Sweetgrass. But they might, just, if somebody wants to buy that.
Okay.
Well, the concrete's already poured, as you can see
Yeah,
on the
it's
aerial
Yeah, no,
way
but I'm
past.
just saying, but anything else. I mean, they can put a barricade there because you can't go anywhere. I mean, if you go past the Sweetgrass entrance,
it
you're gonna
gives-
hit a barricade
It
anyway.
gives access to all the property on either side.
The properties, correct. And I would see that if somebody come along and wanted to do something with that property, yeah, then that's access at least going east.
It gives
Yeah.
another
Which
outlet.
good, that gets them going east and off of 156, that's for sure. Okay. Huh, so that's going on right now. I was wondering what that,
Yes, they're
Work
out there
with. Did you
moving
see
a lot of
that?
dirt and scraping.
moving dirt, doing stuff like that now.
Yes.
All right, well, it'll be nice if they do that. I suppose once they get all that and tie in intermodal and all that, they'll activate those street lights out there. I mean, those signal lights. They'll activate all that stuff. Make that a four-way intersection. All right, well, at least there's progress on that. I mean, it's better than throwing all that, I mean, it's just sitting there. A lot of concrete in the ground doing nothing right now. All right.
Any other questions?
I have a question regarding Blue Mound. Are there any plans or intentions to help alleviate some of the stress, traffic stress on Blue Mound? It seems to be getting progressively worse.
Actually, there is, especially over towards the Harmon/Blue Mound intersection. And there's been all types of conversations with some property owners out in that area. And hopefully, I really can't say anything now because the people have not purchased the land yet. So there is some work going on that hopefully will take care of a lot of that traffic. And then Blue Mountain itself it's under design, and there's some intersection work at Blue Mound and 156 that hopefully will, in the future, will alleviate some of the traffic there.
So I was brainstorming, and one of the things I was thinking about was if we could create at each intersection, Blue Mountain 156, a 500-yard right-hand turn barrier.
Well, that's one of the things that's showing up in the plans, from the traffic engineers, is to do some of that, where you have acceleration lanes, the right turn lanes.
Yeah.
And at the intersection, just to get some of the straight through traffic, being able to do that and allow the people that are needing the turn to get off those main lanes.
I think that would alleviate a lot of stress because, if you can get 10, 15 cars stacked up to turn right, people could proceed, and I think it would move a lot faster.
Yes, we're looking at that. In fact, we've got some plans that have drawn up just to do exactly that.
Well, the mayor presented that. He did a town hall a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago. And if you want to see that, Katrina could probably send you that link, which is, he can send you an email with, he talked about several projects around, but that's one of them. So right there at that intersection, you've got on both, on the eastbound side and westbound side, both sides, would be some improvements at 156 and Blue Mountain. One of them's that right-hand turn lane. And then there's work going from the railroad tracks back here heading east. And at one point in time, the mayor said that the developer that is talking about developing there further west on Blue Mountain was either participating or fronting the cost for a lot of that improvements there. I don't know if that ever came to fruition or not.
I don't know about the funding.
I don't know, he
of it.
mentioned that one time. He either mentioned it to P&Z or somewhere along, anyhow, I heard that. He's not here to defend himself, so I don't know if that ever came about, but in other words, it's not Haslet traffic that causes that problem. It's Fort Worth traffic.
Well, yeah, there's a big developer that's actually west of John Day Road.
Yeah.
That is causing the traffic that we have there, and it's going to be exacerbated in the future as they continue. And so we've been addressing that issue with them to.
Well, that's where Gary talked about that. So I don't know whether that actually came to fruition. But anyhow, the plans for that right-hand turn lane straight through left turn lane. I don't know if there's any property acquisition involved there in that corner. I have no idea, but that's part of engineering.
Make that a request for, a future agenda item, and I can see if maybe he has an email he can send you all in the meantime, because you don't have an agenda item for that today.
Let's just make that on top of the priority list, please.
Yeah, so that's in the works right now. They're looking at that. So Blue Mountain Road's going to stay a 2-lane road, just like it is, because it's prohibitively expensive to widen that road through there, from what I understand.
Well, yeah, it is from 156 to Harmon Road.
All the way to Harmon.
It's about a $55 million project.
$50-something million project, yeah, and that's in today's estimate.
Yeah, and that would more than double the city's tax rate if it was to be built, and that's
not going to happen. And that's not the problem. The problem is stacking up at the light.
Yeah.
At westbound light, because you're all the way. As a matter of fact, I've heard that some people are stacked up clear back to the hill, coming over the hill.
I experienced that the other day.
Did you? And working your way all the way to the stop sign, and then inching your way to the traffic light.
And you're typically talking about a stress period from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock.
Yeah. You're not going to get away. I mean, even with the right-hand turn lane, you're not going to get away with that sort of backup. That's going to be there. It's a single lane. It's a single lane road. It's one way, one lane west.
I route from South Lake every day.
Uh-huh.
And I will tell you, probably 30% of my commute time
Is right there.
is attributed to the last 3 miles of the 17-mile route.
Yeah. Oh, try and get on West,
Blue Mound, I normally go the
Westport?
way.
Yeah, and Westport's the same
You
thing.
get 17 cars through a time, they got 2 lanes going, there's a little bit of a turn lane,
Uh-huh.
it goes quicker there.
But you're still backed up, clear backed up.
It's- If you're backed up past the bend,
Yeah,
I've counted the lights, and as soon as you get to the bridge where you can see, I'm like, okay, that's that far, there's one truck there. I can almost count rooftops. and how many
Exactly.
lights, how deep of an article I can get into.
it's the way it is.
I get home
Yeah.
with that.
As everybody has said, it's Fort Worth traffic out here. It's not Haslet
I
traffic.
get it.
Now, can you imagine what's going to happen west on Avondale Haslet with the new subdivision going in over there from
It's gonna get worse.
the church back to the east? I don't know how many houses they're putting in there, but
900, I understand.
900, I mean, that's a big development back in there.
What
So-
we'll do, we'll put some of these discussions on your
Yeah.
next agenda.
All right,
So,
well, let's move forward to the next agenda. Item number 7, future agenda items. We've identified several.
Where you at, Blue Mountain Road?
Okay. Is there anything else that you kind of took a note of for next agenda item in addition to Blue Mound?
no, sir, I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Then item number 8 then adjourned at 12:06.